Clerk, we ready? Okay, good evening, everybody. This is the Lowell City Council Personnel Subcommittee. We'll hold a public hearing. Today's date is March 10th, 2015. Roll call, please, Mr.
Chairman Belanger,
Here.
Counsel Kennedy, Counsel Samaras.
Here.
Two present.
Thank you. We have two items on the agenda this evening. One, to discuss an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances with respect to Chapter 56. Item 2, discuss ordinance pertaining to accumulated annual vacation and sick leave policy. So we are joined today not only with the subcommittee members, but we're also joined by Councilors Rita Mercia and Jim Milanazzo, City Manager Murphy, Mary Callery from Human Relations, and Christine O'Connor from the Law Department. So, Mr. Manager, we'll start with you with a... Oh, I'm sorry, Hannah York, our auditor, sorry, Hannah. So, Mr. Manager, we'll start with you. There seems to be some change in the air, both with union and non-union employees. So we'll let you start the hearing and brief us as to those changes, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to give a brief overview of these issues that we're discussing tonight, and anything that I miss, Christine or Mary Callery can fill in, and then we can have any questions answered for the councilors. First of all, we recently, not recently, but you know that we've renegotiated all the union contracts last fiscal year. And as part of the union renegotiations, the union employees agreed to a number of issues. And basically, those were three issues that we're going to be discussing tonight. So the union has agreed to those issues, and now what we're asking is that the ordinance be amended to reflect the same changes for all the non-union employees. And so this ordinance addresses three things. First of all, right now the employees get paid each and every week. That's something that we're trying to change. We're trying to change it to bi-weekly. That will be a cost savings for the city of Lowell. So all the unions have agreed to bi-weekly, and we're just asking that the non-union employees also be paid bi-weekly. The downside of this is, in order for us to make this economically feasible, is we have to have the school department agree to this also, and as of now, the school department refuses to agree to a bi-weekly payment. We continue to press them to accept this, so if we're able to do that in the future, this will be a cost savings to the city, and I think the auditor would agree with that.
Excuse me, Mr. We couldn't do that partially, in other words, so it has to be the whole, all city employees, correct?
I would recommend strongly against splitting payroll. That adds a lot of complexity. You can't have two different payrolls open at one time, and so you'd have two different whole groups. So that wouldn't be a good idea. And I think you would lose a lot of the efficiencies with the biweekly if you're still having to do some weekly. Because the schools is a huge number of people that you'd still continuing to do weekly.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Hannah.
Okay. The second thing is sick leave. As part of the union negotiations, the union employees agreed to reduce their sick leave allotment each year from 15 days to 12 days. However, we also increased their personal days by one additional personal day to be used for the day after Thanksgiving. We're also allowing the non-union employees that one-time sick leave buyback, but any new employees would not be eligible for the sick leave buyback. It's a very expensive proposition, and we're looking to save money by grandfathering the existing employees, but not allowing new employees to participate in the sick leave buyback. So again, this would reduce the sick leave days from 15 to 12 like the union employees, and increase the personal days by one to be used the day after Thanksgiving. The last is vacation. Right now, vacation is accrued on the date of the hire of employees. You can imagine that can become an accounting nightmare for the city. With this change to the ordinance would say that vacation would accrue for all employees on January 1st of each year. I think the auditor would agree that this is a good change from a operational standpoint. But also, the ordinance says, right now, when we hire a department head, they're entitled to 4 weeks of vacation each year. However, there are other professional employees that I attempt to hire, and under the existing ordinance, they would get only 2 weeks of vacation per year, but the municipality or the business that they're coming from allots them a higher vacation time than 2 weeks, and sometimes it's difficult to attract individuals based upon that. So what this would do would allow the city manager to determine if that prospective employee meets a professional status based upon their past education experience, and if they do meet that experience, then the city manager would be able to allot them 4 weeks vacation to entice them to the city of Lowell. I hope my summary is what it is, and what we're asking is that these changes be adopted by the city council so we have fairness and parity among the employees across the spectrum. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. No, that was very descriptive, thank you, and I just want to say that I think we all value our non-union employees as much as we value our union employees, and what's fair. They work just as hard in the same hours, and I think what's fair is fair. Now, they're not always as highly paid as union employees, correct? Is that non-union?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of non-employees that are paid more than a 1705 employee.
Yeah, okay.
It all depends on the position.
Okay. Okay, and I do like the as far as accruing vacations, using January 1 rather than the date of hire. I'm sure the auditor welcomes that. It seems like makes the process much easier there. Let's see. I don't think I have any questions right now. Councilor Samaras, anything?
Thank you. Mr. Manager, regarding the biweekly payroll, so at this point, the school department has refused to take this on. So what we're talking about are bookkeeping procedures that can save the city some money. Do you have any idea of like types of savings are at this point, or? No?
Dollar-wise, that would be hard to say, but as far as efficiencies, let me just give you an example. When we had the blizzard coming, we all knew the blizzard was coming. Everybody was sent home on that Monday. Tricia ended up having to stay till 8 p.m. that night to get payroll out because we pay on a weekly basis, and if she didn't do that, nobody would get paid that Thursday because we knew it was going to be shut down for several days. And so the biweekly creates a lot of efficiencies where they're going to have more time to review the payroll. They're going to be able to have some breaks in between payroll to go back and do, other checks. And also, I think a piece of that was also doing the direct deposit. That definitely has a cost savings because you're not printing all those checks. If people are doing the direct deposits, we don't have the issues of lost checks, cancel and reissues, and then they find it. And I think it's more of the efficiencies than the dollar value.
That's a good explanation. I didn't really think you could come up with a figure, but the thing is, I think the public has to know why we're doing that, and the efficiencies are real. And the issue, because of something like that, we don't have any sway, in a sense, in the negotiations to deal with something like that.
I'm just one vote on the negotiation team. But,
No, okay.
in
other words, legally, there's no.
We can't force them outside of it. It's part of their bargaining contracts. But I think you're correct as far as the biweekly payment. It isn't necessarily dollars that we're talking about. Yeah. It's really efficiencies. Is the time it takes to do it. And I think you're right. I think that's the real answer. Is it's much more efficient to have it biweekly.
But I think it turns into dollars. But the issue is, this is something, it's not like we're talking about vacation days or sick leave. We're talking about an efficiency. So I think in negotiations, and I just have some difficulty with that. I've always understood that process, but that was never something that I felt worth fighting. It's just whatever could become more efficient, I mean, in the long run, allowed for payments on the other end. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Counsel. I do actually have one more question. To you, Mr. Manager, the sick leave buyback, so this would cap it at $20,000, is that correct?
Yes, it's a one-time payment,
Okay.
and it's only for existing employees. New employees would not be entitled to that benefit.
Okay. Okay, great. Counsel Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the city manager, I support the whole concept of the amendment, but I'm concerned about what the assessor, the auditor, Hannah York, said when the school department is not in favor of this bi-weekly. So we are adopting the changes to this ordinance, and I think there should be some language in there that discusses it, that about the school department, if and when they should change their mind, it would apply to them, because there could be a new city manager, not that I'm saying anything, in the future that would see that. Don't feel bad. I'm only saying in the future down the road that if they still didn't come into the picture with this, could just then throw it all out, and I don't want to undo what I think is a good thing. So maybe we should have some language in there that says if and when the school department comes into this somehow. You know what I mean?
Sure, if you're more comfortable, I believe that this allows for us to just say it'll apply to the non-unions, and we just want it to continue going forward with it, hopefully one day the school committee, but we can add some language relative to that.
Something like that, yeah,
Absolutely.
something like that.
We'll do that to make it
Sure.
more comfortable.
All right, that'd be fine. Thank you.
No, great addition, Counsel Mercia. So, Mr. Manager, I guess to you again, so how far do you think we're away from the school department to converting to biweekly, or are we?
I think we're a long way away.
Okay.
Unfortunately. To me, it makes sense. I hate to use the term no-brainer, but I don't know how many people are paid weekly right now. But we'll continue to press forward with the school department to try and change their mind. But like the auditor said, it doesn't make sense to just do it half-heartedly. It doesn't create the same efficiencies as if we could get the school department involved.
Okay. Counsel Samaras?
No, thank you, Mr. Manager. I agree in the same way. It's not like I'm looking to, say, force the school department to do something, because, I mean, their right to negotiate a contract is their right. But I think sometimes when efficiencies are obvious, I mean, what type of, could separate dialogue be established just to deal with that issue? That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Okay, actually, I do have one more question now. Mr. Manager, just for clarification, now, when you hire a department head, they're automatically given 4 weeks vacation, correct? So any other positions that you would deem professional, you'll have, the negotiating power to go up to 4 weeks to not straight, to match other cities and towns, correct? Is that your strategy?
Correct.
Okay, I like that as well. I think that's, that means a lot to families, vacation time. So if we can use that as if it gives you the tools to hire more qualified individuals, then I'm all for it. So I do like that. Anybody else like to weigh in on this matter from the public or anybody else? Barbara, step right up.
Thank you very much. I'm Barbara O'Neill. I'm
Yeah.
the director of the Career Center of Lowell, a city department. And we have about 35 employees on the city side, and we're all part of the ordinance. We're grant funded through 25 grants. We're not supported by the city monetarily, but we're definitely supported by the city in every other way. I just wanted to say this ordinance change has been proposed for about 2 years now, and I think that the fact that the city wants to bring the ordinance employees kind of in line with the union employees is a great thing. And I don't think anything in here is unreasonable. As a matter of fact, I think the extra personal day is great. I think reducing the sick time from 15 to 12 days is still very, very generous compared to what some of my private sector friends and colleagues tell me all the time. And I think the idea of biweekly payroll is great, but I guess it's kind of going to be put aside for now, unfortunately. And we also like the idea of the vacation, sick time, and personal time being accrued on the first of every year. We have a pretty small group, 35 people, but we are all ordinance, so we're one of the largest departments with many ordinance employees. And it's even difficult on our fiscal staff, so I can only imagine what it's like for HR and the Treasury and Auditor York, so I really agree with it. So there's really no issues at all. I just had one comment, and it was regarding sick time accrual for ordinance employees that are grant-funded. Our new employees would have to wait 90 days before their insurance kicked in, whereas other ordinance employees, it seems to be just a little different. And I don't know if this is something that's always been in the ordinance, but just wondering why grant employees would have to wait 90 days. Don't really know. It's
thank you.
probably, it's not a big deal, really. I'm not complaining at all. It was just something that some of the staff had brought up when we had a staff meeting.
Okay, thank you, Barb. We'll see if we can get you an answer. We'll
Right.
put it to Mrs. Callery, and I'm sure she's got an answer for you.
Thanks. And I'm sure that everything will be worked out about prorating for the accrual from January 1st, your anniversary date, to July 1st. And just one last thing, wondering if this would probably go into effect July 1st? Okay.
Yes. Well,
Thank you, everybody.
Mary, Ms. Callery, to you.
As far as the grant employees, Barbara, you mentioned insurance, so I don't know, she's just talking about that piece? Or are you talking about, their insurance kicks in 30 days after a date of hire?
Barbara, please go to the microphone, if you don't mind, the podium. Thank you.
Sorry, Mary.
The folks can
Let me
see you.
just take a quick look at what it says here. Let's see.
You are correct in saying that there is a 90-day waiting period
Right.
for benefits as far as
For
sick leave.
grant-funded ordinance staff.
Yes.
But it didn't, but I don't think non-grant-funded ordinance staff have to follow the same 90-day.
Yes, and
They
most
do?
of the unions have a 6-month
Okay.
waiting period.
Wow.
Yep,
Okay.
it's a probationary period.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Mary.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. And Barbara, thank you for your comments. I agree with you 100% on all of your comments, and I support the ordinance amendments due to the fact that as I stated earlier, I value union employees as much as I do union employees here in the city, and thank you for what you do, too. Your department does a great job. That's great news. Thank you. Okay, anybody would like to add on this first item on the agenda? Anything else to add before we close this portion? Mr. Manager?
Maybe I was presumptuous, but I addressed both issues
You
with
kinda
that
did, right.
presentation. So I think you can, I think if I could make a suggestion,
Yeah.
be so bold as to make a suggestion, is that refer to the law department to add the language that Councilor Mercier suggested, and then we can present it to the full city council for approval.
Okay. All right, any other comments before we make a motion? Okay, Counsel?
So I make the motion that we refer this ordinance to the Law Department for final review.
Okay, second? Roll call, please, Ms. Clerk?
Chairman Belanger,
Yes.
Council Kennedy, Council Samaras.
Yes.
2 yeas.
Okay, with that, I think we did cover the second item on the agenda, too, Mr. Manager. Well done. So do I have a motion to adjourn? Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
I don't either, and I hope it's soon.